right, and welcome everyone. So to get us started, I'd like to welcome everyone here. I am Pete Savalainen, Professor and Chair of Civil and Environmental Engineering at Michigan State University and Chair of the ITE Education Council. And I'd like to welcome you all to today's webinar, which is jointly sponsored by the Council of University Transportation Centers and ITE, a community of transportation professionals, where we'll be focusing on transportation safety and basically outlining a safety roadmap to help guide short and long-term investments in helping to reduce traffic crashes, injuries, and fatalities. And so I will be moderating today's event, which features three exceptional speakers, the first of whom is Dr. Matthew Hardy, who is Deputy Executive Director and Chief Technical Officer at ITE, overseeing all aspects of the organization's technical program. He combines deep technical expertise in transportation systems with a strong policy background, drawing on prior experience as Senior Program Director for Planning and Performance Management at the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. Dr. Hardy also serves as an adjunct professor at George Mason University, teaching in the engineering and public policy schools, and he will be discussing the ITE Safety Roadmap and Action Plan for 2025 to 2027. He will be followed by Dr. Michael Knodler, who is the William W. Boyer Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering at the University of Massachusetts-Amherst. In addition to that role, Mike serves as Director of the Umass Transportation Center, co-director of the Arbella Insurance Human Performance Laboratory, and also director of the US DOT's Region 1 New England University Transportation Center, which is focused upon advancing transportation safety. His main areas of research and teaching are related to transportation safety, operations, design, and education, and he'll be talking about student engagement related to safety. Finally, Dr. Mansoureh Jeihani is a professor and director of the National Transportation Center at Morgan State University, as well as director of the Safety and Mobility Advancement Regional Transportation and Economics Research, or SMARTER Center, which is the Region 3 UTC. Dr. Jeihani has over 20 years of experience in applied research in traveler behavior, ITS, connected automated vehicles, and traffic safety, and has published 2 books and over 150 articles. She'll be presenting applied research and deployment to increase safety, especially using CAVs and V2X communication. And as we mentioned, a lot of this focuses on our national roadmap, and so we'll draw heavily upon those documents from ITE, which you are hopefully quite familiar with. Now, before we get to that point, I'll bring up a few complementary activities that have been ongoing in ITE over the past few years. So if we go back to spring of 2024, at that point, we had conducted a survey through the Ed Council where we asked faculty to rate the most important topic areas for inclusion in an introductory transportation course. And this was the third of a series of surveys that have been conducted going back to 2009. And so what you'll see here, safety, interestingly, it looks like it's perceived as less important, but we basically have become tougher graders over time. And there are also more topic areas here. So while the rating on this 5-point scale actually went down, when we look at where it's ranked, relatively speaking, it increased from the 8th most important topic in an intro course to the 5th most important topic. And that's not to say that's the truest measure of how important safety is. There's other factors here like accreditation and so forth. But fortunately, we've seen a lot of growth in safety curricula broadly over the last 10 to 20 years. And as follow-up to that, we had a companion survey in spring 2025 where we asked a subset of those faculty to rate the most important topic areas for inclusion in a transportation safety course. And I won't read through all the details here, but I'm sure we'll touch on many of these items when we have the comments and discussion from our subsequent panelists. And so with that, I am happy to turn things over to Matt Hardy to get us started.
All right. Thank you very much. Again, Matt Hardy with ITE. I'm going to talk about our ITE Safety Roadmap and Action Plan, what we call fostering a cultural shift, prioritizing roadway safety. This was part of the ITE 2024 to 2026 strategic plan. I circled over here goal 3 under organizational excellence that we wanted to elevate ITE's leadership position in safety. And we are using this plan to sort of help do that. It is a plan. It has a number of specific actions in there. We talk a lot about data, but I always like to kind of say, why are we doing this? And if you think about it, for every number that's out there, 30,000, 40,000 people die every year on our roads. There's a human story. Mine is that in 1994, my uncle was driving with three other friends in a large SUV on 95 in North Carolina, and he was killed in a pretty horrific car crash. A 18-wheeler plowed in the back of them in a work zone and caught on fire. So he died in that crash. Since then, since 1994, things have improved, right? We've got much better planning and design of work zones. We have move over laws, that sort of thing. So safety is improving. But the key thing here is that for all of us, just to remember that for every one of those data points, the people that was killed, a father was killed, a mother, a child, whatever, there is a human story, to that. And we need to recognize that and kind of keep that front and center as well. But here are some of the data. Worldwide, 1.3 million people per year die in accidents, crashes worldwide. 40% of those collisions occur at intersections. So can we, focus some of our efforts in some way? 50% of the serious injury collisions, 50% of the serious injury collisions occur at intersections. It's the ninth leading cause of death for all people in the world, and 20% of all fatal collisions, again, occur at intersections. There's kind of a recurring theme, intersections, where vehicles, come together, perhaps a hot spot in some way. And also, if we look outside of the vehicles, the cars, the trucks, and everything, people who are walking, we've seen a 75% increase in deaths of people walking since 2010. So there's the data. The data is important, but don't forget that there is a human story, a human element to this in terms of why somebody like me might get involved in this. It's important. ITE came up with our roadway, our safety roadmap and action plan. What we started with was, what can we do? Like, what's our vision, for this? We believe that through collaborative action, what ITE can do, ITE, we don't, build intersections. We don't construct things. We don't manufacture things. We're an association. We are a membership association. We share information, knowledge. We have a passion for this. We bring professionals together. But we believe that through collective action, collaboration, we as a society, as transportation professionals, can achieve zero road fatalities. And then within ITE, how can we do that, right? We have our assets, right? We can leverage our volunteer members and the staff capabilities. The 26 people that work at ITE are 18,000 members to help lead the development and dissemination of resources, services, and tools to hopefully foster that cultural shift to better plan, design, and operate the transportation system. Not just about designing it, not just about operating, not just about planning. ITE covers the whole, sort of life cycle of the transportation system: plan, design, operate, everything. And that vision of zero road fatalities, it's founded upon the belief that, again, zero is achievable. We can do that. There are examples of that throughout the world, here in the US. Safety is not a luxury. Just because you cannot purchase and own or rent or lease the most, safe vehicle out there that has the most bells and whistles doesn't mean you don't have a right to getting from point A to point B using our transportation system in a safe, effective manner. Data-driven, evidence-based approaches are essential. We don't have unlimited resources, right? We have to figure out where can we put resources to get the most bang for the buck, kind of thing, right? So we want to use data, evidence-based approaches. Collaboration and partnerships are crucial. We ITE can't do this alone. We need to partner with our sister and brother organizations, and also with our members, right? The private sector, the public sector, education, research, implementation. We all have to kind of work together to make this be achievable. And then finally, technological advancements are critical. We need technology, things like what Mansoureh is going to talk about with connected and automated vehicles. That's going to be an important part of this solution. So that's sort of our vision. We came up with 5 different areas, goal areas that we want to kind of focus in on. And it kind of starts at the very beginning, right? At not just our universities and our colleges, but also K through 12. So we have student engagement. So how do we get the students involved in this and kind of understanding about it? Once the students get out into the professional world, how do we work with our professionals to sort of further develop their expertise, understanding of safety? What are some of the ITE initiatives that we can do as ITE as an organization? The fourth one are what kind of technical resources can we create? Quick bites, technical briefs, informational reports, recommended practices, conferences, webinars, all those things that we can kind of share with each other. What is working well? What kind of roundabout design is working really well? What kind of, traffic signal coordination is working? That kind of stuff. That's a big part of what ITE is doing. When I was at AASHTO, now I'm at ITE. My saying was sharing is caring. We all want to come together into this big sandbox and share with each other. We don't want to keep any of the successful practices that we're doing secret. We want to share them with, please beg, borrow, and steal everything that we're doing so that we can improve safety. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, also partnerships. We have to do this together. We can't do it by ourselves. So we have a number of actions and everything that really focus in on partnerships. And as a leader within the transportation professional community, ITE commits to these goal areas to really focus our efforts on implementing our ITE safety roadmap vision. So this is it in a nutshell. I know you can't read this probably, especially if you're using it on your phone. I have a nice big monitor. I'm very well versed in it, but there's a QR code down there. Please snap your phone on that QR code. It will take you to our landing page, which I'll get to in a minute. But if you go to ite.org/safety roadmap, you can get to this and kind of look at all of the great details that we have. So this is it in a nutshell. What we try to do is say, within each of our 5 pillar areas or focus areas, student engagement, what are we trying to do when it comes to student engagement? We're already doing a lot of great things, a lot of great actions. So we've tried to highlight those up there. And then what are those new actions? And this just kind of summarizes them. A key takeaway from this is that if you see anything on this slide that is of interest to you that you say, I really want to get involved with that. The great thing about ITE is that if you're an ITE member, you can get involved in any of these actions. I would encourage you to do it. Please send me an email, mhardy@ite.org, and I will get you engaged in that activity. I'm going to go over 2 of them just as an example, but if you see any of these, contact me. I will get you engaged so that you can kind of help prepare, work on, lead the development of these actions and the products coming out of it. Just so sort of a quick overview, we identified 15 existing actions that we're doing. We're going to keep on doing those. And then we identified 30 new actions, right? And then these are, again, the 5 different areas that we are focusing in on. I'm just going to go through each one of these just very quickly. So existing activities. So there's student engagement. If you're curious, there's a QR code there. Click on the QR code. You can get to information about our Safe System Approach student video competition, our HSIS research paper competition, that sort of thing. And then these are some of the new actions that we're going to be doing. Again, not going to go through each one of these individually because I don't have enough time, but you go to the website, you'll be able to get to them. So that's an example of just like the student engagement ones, that we are doing. We want to help embed transportation safety in higher education programs, cultivate that the safety within our ITE student chapters, strengthen the safety focus within the ITE traffic bowl competition, and not just focus on colleges and universities, but also K through 12 traffic safety education as well. So as I mentioned, you can get involved. Again, the QR code to download the ITE Safety Roadmap and Action Plan. And what we hope you're going to do is download it and read it, get involved with it, and then commit to it. So we hope that you get involved with it. You can get involved with it, and how we do that within ITE is through our council leadership team. We have 6 different technical councils. Pete is the current chair of the Transportation Education Council. You can get involved in any of these. We have councils and committees. All of them are going to have a role to play within safety, within our safety roadmap and action plan. This is not just for our safety council or anything like that. But what we have done is try to lay out, of the 30 different actions, how do these map out to our different councils? So this is the example for the safety council. We said, which ones do they have the lead in, and which ones are they supporting? So the lead is identified. If it's listed up here, that means that they're supporting it in some way. So this is for the safety council. And then for the education council, there are two that really sort of focus in on Pete's council for the next 3 months, I guess. Trying to have that focus within a safety focus within ITE Journal. Every year, we're going to have one of our issues of the ITE Journal focus on safety. In 2026, that's going to be February. 2026 is going to be all about safety, and really sort of cross-cutting among all of our councils. How is education focusing on safety? How is engineering, planning, et cetera? And then the one that they have sort of more of a long-term effort over the next 3 years is how do we embed transportation safety in higher education? And they're taking the lead on that. Again, click on the QR code. That's where you can go get involved. You might hear that as a recurring theme of my talk here. Get involved, the QR code. We are trying to have a sort of a dashboard in terms of what's going on with our 30 actions. So I use this as a way to report to to my bosses, right, the International Board of Direction in terms of what's going on with it. And then this is the current web page. So if you clicked on that QR code, we have the full report. We have that little one pager up here. If you want to download it, we have an Excel spreadsheet. If you're into the, sorting it and filtering it yourself, you have it there. And then if you want to get involved, there's a form that you can fill out more directly. Again, send me an email, mhardy@ite.org, and I promise you, I will get you involved in any of the actions that you want to. And then we are all trying to keep, if you want to kind of figure it out yourself, we are trying to update each one of these actions on that website, so that, if you want to get involved in SC number 1, safety and higher education, we have Pete's name down there. If you want to get involved in the value of safety certifications, you can contact me. So we're just trying to keep people informed in terms of what's going on with each of these actions. And we're updating that on our webpage. And then just two examples of the actions that we are working on, which I thought might be of interest to the people on this webinar, either students or professionals. This first one is on an informational report on the use and application of automated enforcement. This is TR, stands for a technical resource that we are creating. So this is it's going to be an informational report or a recommended practice on the use of safety cameras. So automated enforcement, believe it or not, is a sort of a lightning rod of a term. Not everybody agrees with it, but everybody can, I think, agree that enforcing safety through the use of cameras and that kind of thing can be helpful in improving safety. So this is sort of a quick description of what it is. This is happening. This has started. Our Traffic Engineering Council is leading this effort. So they held a session during our spring virtual conference. They have a current committee that's been formed that is looking at developing the safety camera and systems informational report committee. They are looking for more people to join it and participate. And more specifically, they need current programs, examples from localities, states, cities, whatever, in terms of who are using these safety cameras for different applications, from work zones to school zones, to red light running, to right turn on red, any application, any use. They're trying to collect as many current practices, best practices, case studies out there to come up with an informational report about the use and application of these. This is about an 18-month effort. They're at the very beginning of this. Again, if it's of interest to you, love to get you involved in it. The other one that we are doing is on road safety audits. This is something that's very popular over in Europe, New Zealand, Australia. We're bringing it over here to the US. FHWA has been very focused in on this also. Road safety audits come in sort of two actions that we have identified. One is on the value of safety certifications. The other one is on developing road safety audit training. So we are in the process of considering having a new TPCB, the Transportation Professional Certification Board, have a new certification related to road safety audits, road safety auditor. But the road safety audit, formal structured assessment of road infrastructure, that's conducted by this sort of qualified team of professionals. The goal is to identify elements in the design or operations of that roadway, that aspect that may contribute to crashes, increase in severity, et cetera, and to try to identify strategies that could be used to improve safety. So we are, again, as I mentioned, exploring options. We are offering one of the first RSA fundamentals course. This will be the first in-person course that ITE has offered in a while. It's going to be November 18th and 19th in person here in DC. If you're interested in this, click on the QR code. You can register for it. We are limiting this pilot course to 20 people. There is a cost to it, but you will come out of that course with a certificate in road safety audit fundamentals. You'll get PDHs, all that good stuff for it. So if you want to learn more about what road safety audits are, I would encourage you to come to DC for a night and participate in this sort of pilot course of ours. And we're also developing what we call a recommended practice on how to conduct road safety audits. So again, what I'm going to leave you with is to please get involved. We're looking for more members, more people to get involved with with this roadmap, with this action plan. It's all about you helping, each other kind of develop these resources. The ITE staff are here to help and support and everything. But anyways, there's the QR code. Again, broken record, mhardy@ite.org. Contact me. I promise I will get you involved. So thank you. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Knodler. So Mike, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody. I think Pete and Matt have teed this up perfectly and so provided a great overview of some of the activities that are happening under the umbrella of ITE, whether it's in the Education Council or the ITE Safety Roadmap in general. Pete gave an introduction of myself at the beginning. One other hat that I do wear is Vice President of the Council of University Transportation Centers. And so one of the things that we were particularly excited about when we were building this webinar was here's this IT safety roadmap. Matt talked at length about the partnerships being essential. The universities and the educational institutions in general are logical places where that happens. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the student engagement opportunities that are out there and some of the things that we could potentially be doing or may already be doing but could expand upon. My guess is this might foster some potential interests among students in terms of different things. And then Mansoureh is going to talk about some of the research. Again, universities are really good, and this is ways that we can logically contribute to a lot of the things that are happening. So Matt provided, showed this slide talking about the ITE safety roadmap, and he highlighted this first thread, if you will, is student engagement. And again, universities are a logical place for a lot of these different types of activities. And so my plan is to just jump in and talk about some of the different activities, both within ITE, but then across the universities. And there's likely many, many more, but these are just meant to be a snapshot of some of the different ways. Matt talked about this one already, so I'll go kind of quickly. But for the students that are on this webinar, this is a great opportunity. So the Excellence in Highway Safety Data Award, access the Highway Safety Information System, make use of the data. It's a paper competition, and they select the winners, and ultimately they're recognized for their work and contributing to safety in doing so while learning valuable skill sets, making use of an incredibly valuable data set. Matt also talked about this one, the Safe System Approach Student Competition. One thing I'd encourage you when we drop off this webinar here today, go check out some of the previous winners. These videos are creative. They're talking about what the safe system is, how it's applied, what it looks like. It's a really great way for our creative students to showcase and potentially help educate the public in terms of some of the things that we're thinking about as transportation professionals. But there's many other things. And so, so for example, ARTBA has student video contests. It's across different categories. It's actually at the college level as well as the K through 12 level. It's an annual thing. They're short, they're sweet, but they're powerful and they connect. And all of these videos are showcased on the ARTBA webpage, and it's a great opportunity. Video editing and technology has come a long way since I was a K through 12 student. And there's some really, really creative students that are out there. And we do something similar, and my guess is that many of you do as well. So under the umbrella of our state DOT, we host a high school video contest talking about safe streets and in particular smarter trips, and students can win prizes. In fact, if any of you are interested in coming to Boston later this month, We host for our DOT a 1,400 person conference called Moving Together, All Things Ped Bike Public Transportation. And at this conference over the lunchtime, we'll call up the student video winners and show their videos. They're usually outstanding. And so these are different ways that students can get involved. And another one that I'm particularly proud of, every year, ATSA and several other organizations partner to promote Work Zone Awareness Week. And one of our colleagues in our DOT said, well, we want it to be more than just a week. Is there a way that we can extend it? And so he created a digital billboard design contest. And it was open to all college students in Massachusetts and had to use whatever the Work Zone Awareness theme was for that particular year, and then create a billboard. And what was really, really cool about this is they took the winning design. So first place aired on billboards across the state for 3 months. Second place aired on billboards across for 2 months, not consecutively, but sort of staggered over a 6-month period. Third place got up there for 1 month. And so these were just some of the initial billboards that were designed and submitted by students. Again, different levels of creativity. I'd actually made this a class assignment, so I'm happy to say that 2 of the 3 here were students that were in my class at the time. But then this is the students' billboards, sort of as you drove up and down the highway in the state. And it's really cool to see student engagement, promoting safety. I think this is a really good example of the types of creative things that we can be doing. And then, Pete and Matt both talked about the importance of embedding transportation safety within higher education. There are, and Pete's got some great data from the survey that we ran, there are a lot of safety courses around the country, but there's also some really great resources that exist in terms of embedding safety lectures in core classes as well as research. So whether it's bringing it into an intro to transportation class, but then finding ways to fold it into a design class or even an operations class with that safety lens. And I think that's one opportunity, is to build out those resources, make sure that content's being promoted in a lot of those other settings as part of that, and talking about the SAFE system. And then I'll give a shout out to one of our UTC colleagues, Nick Baranchek at the University of New Mexico. He'd actually, right at the time that we were first presenting this earlier in the year, he was delivering a webinar that was an innovative teaching in transportation. It was experiential lab and blended learning, and it was specifically focused on transportation safety. So this was one of those ITE education webinars that Pete had mentioned at the outset. And it was a really fantastic opportunity, brought his class out into the field, looked at some initial data, made some recommendations, went out and evaluated it after. Really interactive living laboratory, a great hands-on experience for students in terms of talking about embedding safety. And so, this was a really, really novel concept, and I think one that many more of us could adopt. Whether you're a professional working with universities or you've got a great project where you're bringing in students, could be fantastic. Lots of cool things. ITE also hosted 2025 Safe System Academy. It was great to hear Matt talking about some of the upcoming in-person road safety audit courses. I think there's a really big market for a lot of these short course type activities where we could really build up some of the understanding and knowledge content related to some of the core safety concepts. Another one I'll plug for the students if they're not aware. Our colleagues at Lifesavers. Lifesavers is probably the biggest gathering of safety professionals in the country. It's an incredibly applied conference. It's a fantastic event. But the traffic bowl is really fantastic. Matt talked about building that out. There's safety in the traffic bowl. If you haven't participated, I encourage you to do that. And then, as I just started saying a second ago, if you're interested, Lifesavers is the biggest gathering of transportation safety professionals. This next year, it's going to be in Baltimore, Maryland in the middle of April. But they do a really cool thing as part of this program. They actually have a traffic safety scholars program where students can apply, and they'll make you a traffic safety scholar. You'll help out during the conference. They'll give you $1,300 to travel to the event, and then you'll get to participate in the event as a result of it. And so the deadline is actually hasn't passed yet, so it's still coming up. So by November 1st, you can apply to be a traffic safety scholar. There you see the 2025 scholars from earlier this year. And it's a pretty easy application, a little bit of information, but then it's a 60 to 90 second video of why you want to be a traffic safety scholar and contribute to traffic safety. So again, a really fantastic program, something that you might want to get involved with. And then, I think there's other opportunities that we talked about. So the Mobility Hub competition, last year IT had a competition specifically about designing a mobility hub on a university campus. These types of competitions are fantastic for students to get involved. There's other like the National Operations Center for Excellence runs the Joint Transportation Technology Tournament. This one's really cool because you can actually have student teams from different universities. So a couple years ago, our students teamed with students at the University of Memphis and Oregon State University. So you can work across universities, but then they pair you with professional mentors. So as you're working on your plans, you're actually engaging with professional mentors to get a better understanding of their problem and how you're working to potentially solve it using technology. And then last but not least, I'll mention one other activity that we've taken on. So with our colleagues at World is Our Classroom, it's a local nonprofit. We built out a 2-day, it's called the Transportation Bridging Expectations Program. And so over the course of the 2-day program, day one, it's a little bit aviation focused. They tour an airport, they come see our air traffic control tower simulator. We talk a little bit about drones. Then they go talk public transportation and tour a rail station. And then the second day we have them on campus. We give them crash data. We show them how to access data near their neighborhood. They're building cross sections in street mix. They're talking about micromobility. We let them ride around on some segways. But again, these are the types of programs we're happy to share sort of what we've been doing in that space. But I think many of you are doing something similar. But again, these are fantastic ways. This past year, we brought about 250 public school students through the 2-day program and gave them a glimpse at different career pathways in transportation. So similar to what both Pete and Matt had said, I'm happy to follow up and answer any questions afterwards. Or if anybody wants to chat after the webinar today, feel free to reach out to me and email me at any point in time. And so with that, I'll stop sharing and go ahead and turn it over to Mansoureh to talk a little bit about how at the university setting we can use research to support the IT safety roadmap and the safety vision moving forward.
Thank you for listening to me, and thank you to my colleagues for their great presentation. I am Mansoureh Jeihani, a professor at Morgan State University and the director of National Transportation Center and also Smarter Center at UTC. We are the lead of the Region 3 Mid-Atlantic University Transportation Center funded by USDOT. And these are our center members, consortium members. Today I want to talk about the safety roadmap through research and especially implementable research. And the items that we are under that is related to IT action plans that we are working on the technical resources. We are part of the developing resources on near miss crash analysis that you're going to see a little bit of that. And also develop IT recommended practice on implementing the safe system approach for public agencies. And on the partnership part, supporting USDOT in implementation of the National V2X deployment plan. So we have a test bed, CV2X or CAV test bed. It's a 1.5 mile of a stretch of a road, Hillen Road, next to Morgan campus. It's on the city road. The road is 35 mile per hour speed limit, 2 lanes in each direction, and it's open to public. So we have equipped this road with the 3 intersections, 3 consecutive intersections that we have equipped it with sensors, edge computer, RSU, roadside units, and we have been putting onboard units and some vehicles, and especially Morgan shuttles, for V2V, V2M, V2I applications. So it's vehicle-to-vehicle communication, vehicle-to-infrastructure, which would be the traffic light and RSU roadside unit, and also V2M, which is vehicle-to-micromobility, like bicycle, pedestrian, and so on. We did the installation ourselves under the center. We coordinated with the city, and we worked with several companies to put all those equipment in there. And we had to upgrade the traffic controller and make sure that we communicate with the traffic controller as well. So we have cameras, and also we have LiDAR at those intersections. And so on the LiDAR, we get the real-time information of 3D object. Any object that passes through the intersection, we can see it in 3D, and we get all of the data and information on that. We also have a dashboard that all the vehicles or any object that passes, they get their own ID, specific ID, and on the dashboard it shows live on all the detected objects through LiDAR. So through that dashboard and all the data that is coming, the data being processed at the intersection on the edge device, and after being processed, it being sent to our center, to our lab. And so we get all tons of data about the count of all of these objects that's passing, and it could be like passenger vehicle, truck, bus, pedestrian, bicyclist. And we can see their counts throughout the day, second by second, and also their speed and location and so on. We look at the near misses or conflicts. So this is the heat map of all the near misses that are happening, near crashes that are happening at the intersections. And we can look at all of those, and that's based on the PET measurement, post-encroachment time. I don't have time to explain much of that, but when it is a very critical near miss, we can see that if you see that was like a bus and a pedestrian, that they were so close to each other, and we can have the videos of those plus all the data. We have done a lot of research. For example, we looked at what are the critical zones at the intersection that all those near misses is happening. And as you see, those areas, these zones, zone 2, 5, 8, 11, 1, and 12 got over 90% of the conflicts happening in those. So based on that, then we zoom in, like what are the problems, how we can resolve that problem and work with the city to do that. We also look at the pedestrian crossing patterns, how they cross intersection. And so this is near the college. As you see, the pedestrians, mostly students, walking on the median to go to the other side of the intersection. Or here there is a bus stop that they walk out of the bus stop and go all over. And also here, so we can look at the pedestrian crossing and find the best countermeasures to fix some of those problems. We can also look at the red light runners, yellow light runners. We look at the green allocation, and we can optimize or help the city to do a better job on the traffic signals and optimize it. Besides this fixed detection units that we have at those 3 intersections in 1.5-mile stretch of the road, we made in-house our own portable detection and communication system that we have that LiDAR edge device, a cabinet that we put all of those devices in. We can add RSU to it, and all of those items, the network switch, power supply, you name it, we put all together as a portable device. So we are taking that into different intersections and different places, and to look at like what are the safety issues on those intersections, or we can look at it for before and after any countermeasure that the city or any agency that does, after we give them some recommendation. If they implement it, we can look at do a before and after study. So this device that we made, this is the inside the cabinet. So we go and we can install it on top of the light pole next to the traffic light, and we have been doing that as a Safe Street for All project that we are part of that with the Baltimore City. We are doing throughout the city in several corridors. And for our camera, CCTV camera that we have. We are looking at the object detection. We're looking at, we have done in different weather, like snow and rain and night vision. We have checked it with like LiDAR. Also, we also have used drones to do the object detection and look at some sections of the road. So we are using all different kinds of sensors to do all of these studies. And so up to now, I was talking more on the detection and countermeasures, but we also have been doing a lot of research and working on connected vehicle technology. So we have some onboard units that we put on the vehicles and Morgan shuttles and to do the vehicle to vehicle and vehicle to infrastructure communication and several studies off of that. We also have some OBU Lite, which is a lighter version, smaller version that can be used on scooters and bicycles. We have used those as well. So it's vehicle to micromobility. That's one of the dashboards.
Yes, right.
That's
way. Cross intersection with care.
I don't know if you can hear or not, but this is the app that the vehicle can have when it has the OBU onboard unit, and they can see all different kind of messages, team messages, traveler information messages, SPAT messages, which is signal phasing and timing, and also PSM, BSM, and so on. So they can get all of that information in the vehicle. And that's how we are using it at Morgan Shuttles for research and also for increasing safety in our fleet. We have been putting some team messages. We are doing the geofencing messaging and giving the warnings to vehicles. So we are testing all different kind of messaging that we can send, and we are working on the dynamic real-time messaging also. So if there is any near crashes want to happen or anything that we're going to warn the drivers, we can send that information and via team messages through the RSUs and so on to vehicles that have OBUs. And those geofencing is for, so we are doing different messaging and communication between vehicle and infrastructure. And our students have done some testing and some demonstration in our parking lot for V2V. I'm just showing one of them because we don't have much time. So the two students are in two vehicles. We are looking at blind spot warning. So both of them have the OBU in the vehicle. And when one of them was on the other one's blind spot, the message came here. I don't know if you could see and hear. It's just a beep, and that when they get into that, the beep and the message comes in here. It says you are in the blind spot. And the micromobility that we talked about, so OBU Lite was on a bicycle, and we put OBU on the vehicle, and we did some of those messaging and testing between the vehicle and the bicyclist. Right now, like this one was intersection movement assist, but we have done all different kind of messaging. But there's not much time. If you have any questions, please contact us. These are our information about National Transportation Center and Smarter Center, and our QR code in here. Thank you very much.
So with that, we are opening it up to question and answers. And as noted in the chat, I'm remiss for not bringing this to everyone's attention at the start of the webinar, but you can either use the chat box or the Q&A feature. And we've got a few questions that are most well suited, I think, to Matt. So I guess first among those, Matt, will members from different countries, Canada being an example, be integrated into the same action committee structure through ITE International, or will the structure be mirrored in each country, or is that TBD?
No, this is we're trying to bring everybody together as part of ITE International. So those from Canada, some of our other international countries, we want them to participate in the roadmap and action plan. one of the actions is kind of designed, I guess, for the U.S. when we talk about a center of excellence for transportation safety. It would be hopefully funded through U.S. DOT, but everything else is more sort of generic, not specific to the U.S. So we'd love to have international participation. If I go back to the use of the safety cameras for improving safety, there are lots of great international examples of how that's being done. We would love to include those, within our informational report so people understand, what's the art of the possible, even though might not be politically feasible within Canada or the US or other places. We still think it's good examples to include. So yeah, we'd like to include everybody in the existing structure as opposed to having something separate for each country or anything like that.
Thanks, Matt. You had also answered previously in the chat in the Q&A about the RSA Fundamentals course and currently exploring offering it online, noting that there's an in-person field component. And so I guess one follow-up I had to that is who your target audience is for that. Is it generally someone with a transportation engineering background or broader than that? Can you kind of comment on that a little bit?
Great, thanks. Yeah, so this course that we're developing builds upon, there's an existing one that FHWA developed with the National Highway Institute. For now, they are not offering that course for various reasons I'm not going to get into. We see a need for that to do training and professional development when it comes to what are RSA's road safety audits in itself. So this is not geared in terms of the target audience. We like to say it's for a transportation professional in general, not specifically an engineer. This is not like sort of an engineering. You're going to learn about, fundamentals or, mitigation strategies specifically. It's for the road safety sort of professional in general. It might be an engineering background, planning background, design background, any kind of background that wants to learn more about what is an RSA, how is it conducted, and then as you mentioned or in the question, there is a field component to this where on the second day they go out and they actually participate in a actual road safety audit. How do you go out there and kind of what are you looking for? How do you document it? How do you come back, put it together in a report? So it's almost like a sort of a pseudo example, a real example of doing an RSA. That's the intent of it. So for the online portion, we just got to think through how do we recreate that aspect of it. It can be done. It'd be slightly different, but initially we just want to try to get the in-person one going first as a pilot course within ITE.
All right, thanks, Matt. Next question for Dr. Jeihani. How do you get the near-miss crash data? Are they from LiDAR or any other source?
They are from LiDAR dashboard. So all the trajectory of the vehicles and objects that are coming through the intersection, we get the real-time data coming to our lab, and I mean the real-time goes. We do some of the analysis at the intersection to make it faster, and then send the analyzed data to our lab. But the near crashes is based on PET, post encroachment time, that calculation, and it is based on the LiDAR data.
All right, thank you. Okay, next question. Is there a way to get involved in the collection of K-12 traffic safety and education resources, or any idea on when that may be published? And Mike, I don't know if that's in reference perhaps to some of the stuff you talked about.
Yeah, this is, so I know there's a lot of great different ways that people are doing it. So ITE, as an example, used to have a collection of different K through 12 outreach tools so that when anybody was going, they could make use of it. I think part of it is just getting a sense of what's happening, maybe local to you. And then, I'd be happy to share some of the things that we're up to so that others could potentially, maybe replicate something similar to, where they might be geographically located. But I think that's the way to sort of start to have these conversations and build that network.
Thanks, Mike. And I did also just share a link in the chat to some of those resources from ITE's STEM resources page. So, and I know a lot of UTCs and other universities, other entities develop a lot of that type of material, but there's not really a great centralized repository of it. So maybe that can be kind of a side plan for that incoming Ed Council chair here, I think. Just
Yeah,
talking out
yeah,
loud.
no, that's a great point. There was, and I feel it's like something that we could overcome, but I know there had been some trademark issues in terms of the posting of content and sort of being able to guarantee that what was there. But yeah, feels like something we definitely should do, and that seems like a logical way to do it, engaging the UTCs.
Great. Thanks, Mike. All right. Another question for Dr. Jeihani. For your communications like V2V or V2X, do you use IoT, that's Internet of Things, or any other communication wavelength to communicate directly? And how do you handle the standard limitations and safety? Thank you.
Okay, so for the V2X, we are using the CV2X communication that is standard in the US. So CV2X communication, not the SRC. And for the communication to send the data to us, we are using modem and just regular modem right now. But we are looking at also fiber. And sorry, what was the second part of the question?
The second part, just related to how do you handle the standard limitations and safety?
Then I'm not sure what they mean by standard limitation. But yeah, we have some bandwidth issues. That's why we process a lot of stuff at the intersection instead of sending a huge amount of data. That's why we that's for latency and also for the capacity.
All right, thank you much. Matt, question for you. Are there, I don't know, gaps or opportunity areas for involvement on the roadmap and action plan? I hesitate to say easy lifts, but areas where people can kind of get involved here near term. Do you have any specific emphases?
I know that our incoming president, Gordon Math, likes to say that we need to get like 200 people involved in this. 200 new ITE member, not new ITE members, but 200 existing ITE members, involved in this. Off the top of my head, I don't know. We've been focusing on a few of these. So in that one slide that I had sort of the dashboard, we have 12 of these kind of started. I would say 6 of them are really actively going right now. So I wouldn't say that there's anything, those are there's a lot going on with those 6 when we talk about the RSA course development, the informational report on use of safety cameras, developing a recommended practice on use and application of the safe system approach. So my recommendation, not to be the broken record, is to look at those 30 actions. Go to the website, see which ones have started. If you want to get involved, please do that. If there are ones that haven't started and you have an interest in that, we can get you involved in that. We need somebody to kind of take on that sort of leadership, that champion role. Would love to get you involved in that if possible.
Great, thanks. Okay, now just a broader question. We had shown some survey results earlier, and so we have a lot of, I think, rich information from the faculty side. But I would be curious to get input from the broader group of transportation professionals there. And I guess that's more of kind of a call for action in there. So Matt, as an example, perhaps that's something we could target internally through ITE to just kind of see how it compares the faculty view versus the practitioner industry view. And as an example there, I know hopefully nobody's too offended because I have an academic crowd here, but a lot of our higher education courses in transportation safety tend to be very focused on the statistical and methodological side in terms of network screening and evaluation and so forth. Often I think at the loss of more hands-on countermeasure development, causal identification and things of that nature. So I guess I'd welcome any thoughts from the rest of my instructor colleagues here on that point.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic idea to be able to capture that in terms of what's happening in practice, especially as, so I think there's a lot of folks that would be practicing nowadays that, maybe have safety being more a part of their day-to-day job, but didn't necessarily have exposure to safety at the time that they were maybe going to school. And so how might they suggest shaping that experience for, their newer colleagues that are currently in school and about to join the workforce. So I think that's a fantastic idea to move forward with a survey like that.
I can just give one example of what I do as a teacher. So I teach one class kind of a year, and it's a transportation planning class, and they call it urban transportation planning, but I just call it transportation planning. This is for seniors, upper level undergrads, grad students that are, first year grad students. But it's sort of an overview of what is transportation and everything. And what I started this last semester when I taught it was every class has a safety moment. So we had 15 classes, and I went in there and I tied in whatever we were learning, as part of transportation planning. How does this apply to safety? So we went through the four-step process. So with trip generation, how do we think about safety within trip generation? Tip distribution, how do we think about safety within that? And all the different elements, I said, how does this apply to safety in some way? And tried to have professionals come in and kind of talk about that as well, those sort of experienced practitioners. Because I know when I was in school back in 1993 to 1997, doing civil engineering and traffic, I never had a course on transportation safety. I don't think it was ever really brought up, honestly. I learned it all professionally, since I got out of school and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Excellent. We have a couple minutes left. If anyone has any last minute questions, feel free to use the Q&A or type those in the chat. And then I will also restate, we are happy to share copies of the slides from today, and the actual recording will also be available through the CUTSI website early next week if you're looking for it. Okay, Hardik Shah finally stepped up with a question. Thanks, Hardik. And so what area of the safety roadmap action plan does ITE see the biggest need for volunteers' involvement from the researchers and practitioners world?
I guess I would sort of looking at it, just spend a few moments. If you look into the fourth pillar, which are about our technical resources, right? So there are 11 new technical resources that we are trying to create, and these can be sort of big ones like a recommended practice, which goes through a very rigorous process to get approved, developed and approved and everything. All the way through, to lighter ones like technical briefs. Those 11 actions, those are the most rigorous ones that we're going to be developing, the sort of technical resources. That's where we need, I would say, the most help. So if you look at that, we're talking about updating methods on setting speed limits, near miss crash analysis, the safe system approach for a non-technical audience, Vision Zero success stories, develop the ITE data-driven safety analysis handbook, those types of things. That's where we're going to need the most, I would say, technical help and support in developing these, coming from both the practitioner and the educators and the students. So if we have graduate students, stuff like that want to participate, those are the ones, those are the 11 that I would say that we need the most support on right now.
Great. Thanks, Matt. Okay, and so with that, it looks like we are basically at time. And so with that, I'd like to thank you all again very much for attending, and keep your eyes open for subsequent webinars, both through CUTSI and through ITE. And I hope you all have a great week. Thank you very much. And my thanks to the panelists as well for their exceptional job today.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Pete, for moderating. So.